For thousands of years, humans have shared frightening tales about mythical creatures to scare children and pass warnings from one generation to the next. However, the real shock appears when we realize that behind many of these legends, there may be a small piece of truth. Today, I'm going to introduce you to 7 mythical creatures that might not have been completely imaginary. Some of them may have been inspired by real things, and a few could even still exist in our world today. Number 7. Hydra. Do you remember the terrifying monster that Hercules fought? The creature with many heads that looked like a giant serpent. That legendary beast was known as the Hydra. It may sound impossible, but here's the surprising part. Something like it actually exists in real life. Don't worry though, it isn't the horrifying monster described in myths. In ancient Greek legends, a Hydra was a deadly water monster shaped like a snake. It had one extremely frightening ability. Whenever someone cut off one of its heads, 2 more would grow back in its place. Even worse, its breath was said to be poisonous enough to kill anything nearby. Hercules eventually defeated this monster during his famous 12 labors, and the story became one of the most famous myths ever told. The Greeks and Romans loved this story so much that they showed it everywhere. It appeared in paintings, pottery, sculptures, and even on coins. Clearly, the battle between Hercules and the Hydra fascinated them deeply. But here is the unexpected twist. A real-life Hydra exists today. Fortunately, it isn't gigantic or deadly. This real Hydra is extremely small, only about 10 millimeters long, roughly the size of a grain of rice. It lives underwater and captures food using tiny stinging arms. Now here's where the story becomes even stranger. Scientists discovered something remarkable about this little creature. It might actually be able to live forever. In 2015, researchers tried several methods to kill Hydra in laboratory experiments, but they repeatedly failed. Every time, a Hydra's cells regenerated, keeping the organism young again and again. Because of this unusual ability, scientists believe that studying Hydra could help humans understand more about aging and maybe even how to slow it down. Ancient myths imagined a terrifying monster that could not be defeated, but nature created something just as incredible in its own way. A tiny creature that may never grow old. Number 6. Vampire. Everyone has heard stories about vampires. These creatures are said to rise from the dead, drink human blood, and avoid sunlight at all costs. But is it possible that some of these frightening legends were inspired by real events? Stories about vampire-like beings have existed for hundreds of years and appear in cultures all over the world. In parts of Eastern Europe, frightened villagers once believed vampires were secretly living among them. To protect themselves, they sometimes placed wooden stakes into the bodies of the dead, believing this was the only way to stop the corpse from rising again. But why did people believe such terrifying ideas in the first place? One reason is surprisingly simple. Long ago, people did not fully understand what happens to the human body after death. Sometimes a corpse's nails or hair appeared to grow longer. In other cases, blood gathered around the mouth of the body. These strange signs convinced people that the dead were somehow active or not truly resting. They believed something evil must be responsible. These frightening legends were not limited to Europe. Similar creatures appear in many cultures. In Romania there were stories of the strigoi. Greece had the vrikalakas. Eastern Europe spoke of the Yupper. In Africa there were the Asanbasam. In South Asia people feared the Vedala. Even though the names were different, they shared one terrifying idea: the creature returned from death to feed on the living. But could vampires have any real explanation? Some diseases share characteristics similar to vampire myths. One example is porphyria, a rare blood disorder that can make sunlight extremely painful. People with this illness may develop skin wounds, dark-colored urine, and unusual behavior. Those symptoms might sound very familiar to the vampire legends. Another disease that may have influenced these stories is rabies. Animals such as bats can carry rabies and spread it through bites. Infected people sometimes become aggressive, hallucinate, or behave strangely. This connection may explain why vampire stories are often associated with bats. No one truly knows why the legends claim that vampires hate garlic or silver. Rules such as needing permission to enter a house or being unable to step on holy ground likely came from old religious beliefs and cultural fears. So while Count Dracula himself is fictional, the stories about vampires probably grew from real observations, misunderstandings, and diseases. Number 5. The Jersey Devil. Deep inside the Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey, a mysterious creature has terrified locals for centuries. Since the year 1735, many witnesses have claimed to see something truly frightening moving through the woods. Descriptions say the monster looks like a strange mixture of several animals, part goat, part bat, and even part kangaroo. Its head is often described as resembling a twisted horse with long, frightening horns. According to reports, it walks quietly at night on 2 legs ending in split hooves. Witnesses claim it releases loud, terrifying screams that echo through the forest and frighten anyone nearby. Farmers have also reported missing chickens, believing the mysterious creature was responsible. One farmer even claimed to shoot at the monster, although nobody could clearly explain what he actually saw. The legend says the creature was born to a woman believed to be a witch, the wife of Daniel Leeds. According to the story, shortly after its birth the child suddenly grew dark wings, let out a terrifying shriek, and flew away into the darkness, leaving the family in panic. Fear of the Jersey Devil reached its peak in 1909 when newspapers reported a wave of sightings. Panic spread so widely that schools closed and many workers refused to leave their homes. Even today, the Jersey Devil remains one of America's strangest mysteries. Is it a real creature hiding somewhere in the forests of New Jersey, or simply a legend that grew larger over time? Number 4, Ningen. During the early 2000s, Japanese sailors claimed they saw something unusual swimming in the icy waters near Antarctica. They named this mysterious being the Ningen. Imagine a pale creature with long, eerie arms and a body somewhat resembling a mermaid. Soon afterward, photographs began appearing online that supposedly showed this strange creature. Unfortunately, most of those images were eventually proven to be fake. However, an interesting question still remains. Could something like the Ningen truly exist in the deep ocean today? Antarctica is enormous, remote, and largely unexplored. Because of this, it is difficult to know exactly what kinds of life might exist there. Scientists have suggested a few possible explanations. One idea is that the sightings might have been a type of ancient swimming sloth called Thalassochnus. These unusual animals had long arms that were useful for swimming, and their fossils have been discovered in Chile and Argentina, countries relatively close to Antarctica. Another theory suggests the Ningen might have been inspired by an ancient shark species known as carcharocles or similar prehistoric sharks with long fins moving silently through the ocean. Fossil evidence shows that many ancient sharks disappeared around 66 million years ago during a major extinction event. But sharks are among the most resilient creatures on Earth. Some species survived massive global extinctions and continued evolving. Because of that, a few people wonder whether unknown species might still live deep beneath the icy Antarctic waters. While there is no solid evidence, the Ningen continues to remain one of the ocean's most mysterious legends. Number 3, Mothman. Among all the creatures on this list, Mothman is one of the most recent mysteries. His story began in 1966, not in ancient myths but in modern times. The first sighting occurred in a small town called Point Pleasant in West Virginia. After that moment, the legend quickly began to grow. Witnesses described seeing a tall black creature with glowing red eyes. Some claimed it stood between 7 and 10 feet tall and looked partly like a giant bird, although much larger than any normal bird. The sightings started on November 15, 1966. Strangely, they stopped exactly 13 months later on December 15, 1967. That date became significant because it was the day the Silver Bridge collapsed during rush hour traffic. The disaster killed 46 people, and 2 victims were never found. Later, author John Keel published a book titled The Mothman Prophecies, suggesting that the creature might have been connected to strange events surrounding the bridge collapse. This claim helped turn Mothman into a famous and frightening mystery. More than 100 sightings were reported during that short period of time. Many residents later admitted they had been too frightened to talk about their experiences. Interestingly, the creature never actually attacked anyone. Witnesses mostly said it watched from a distance or sometimes tapped on car roofs, especially when teenagers were parked inside vehicles. Even though the behavior sounds relatively harmless compared to other monsters, the fear it created was very real. The town of Point Pleasant eventually built a statue of Mothman. Not because people loved the creature, but because the legend had become an important part of the town's history. Whether it was a prank, a misidentified animal, or something truly unexplained, the mystery continues to capture people's imaginations. Number 2, Hobbits. Most people know hobbits as the brave little characters from the famous story The Lord of the Rings. But what if creatures similar to hobbits once existed in real life? Not living in cozy houses with round doors, but surviving in caves and hunting small animals. In 2003, scientists made a surprising discovery on Flores Island in Indonesia. While excavating a cave, researchers uncovered bones belonging to a very small adult human only a little over 3 feet tall. At first, scientists believed the skeleton belonged to a modern human with dwarfism, a medical condition that causes extremely short height. However, one unusual feature made them reconsider that idea: the skeleton had unusually large feet compared to its body. Since that discovery, more remains of similar tiny humans have been found. Scientists eventually named the species Homo floresiensis. Because of their small size, many people began calling them real-life hobbits. These ancient humans lived between 50,000 and 100,000 years ago. Surprisingly, they existed alongside larger and stronger human species. Their brains were about the size of a chimpanzee's brain, yet they were still capable of making stone tools and hunting animals. This shows they were intelligent survivors despite their small bodies. So what happened to these real-life hobbits? Most scientists believe they disappeared around 50,000 years ago, likely after modern humans arrived in the region. Competition for resources may have led to their extinction. Even though their ending was not as heroic as in fantasy stories, their discovery is extremely important. It reminds us that human evolution is far more complex than we once thought. Not every ancient human looked the same. Some were small, clever, and very different from us. Number 1. Elran Maya. Among all the mythical sea monsters discussed online, one of the newest and most terrifying legends is known as Elran Maya. According to stories shared on the internet, this creature supposedly lives somewhere deep within the Arctic Ocean where sunlight never reaches. Descriptions claim that Elran Maya is enormous, possibly more than 2,000 feet long, roughly the length of 6 football fields placed end to end. Its mouth is described as a nightmare filled with hundreds of sharp teeth, large enough to swallow a whale whole. Its face is said to contain 6 glowing white eyes that allow it to see through complete darkness in the deep sea. The legend gained attention after researchers recorded strange sounds deep beneath the Arctic ice a few years ago. Scientists explained that the noises were probably caused by shifting ice breaking apart. However, some people believe the sounds came from a living creature hidden below the frozen water. One of the most unsettling stories involves a deep ocean research expedition. During the mission, scientists lowered a camera into a deep underwater trench. According to rumors, something extremely large moved past the camera and briefly blocked the light. The image was unclear, but witnesses claimed the object was enormous. The footage was never officially released to the public, and some crew members reportedly left the expedition afterward. Because of this, many people began wondering whether the researchers had seen something unusual. Is Elran Maya real? According to science, there is currently no solid evidence supporting its existence. Still, the ocean is vast, incredibly deep, and mostly unexplored, especially near the frozen Arctic regions. Our natural fear of the unknown, strange underwater sounds, and hidden creatures in the darkness makes legends like Elran Maya feel disturbingly possible. Until humans explore every corner of the ocean depths, the mystery remains open. Elran Maya might simply be a modern myth created on the internet, or it could represent something we have not discovered yet. After all, the oceans have surprised scientists many times before, and Elran Maya is only one example. Throughout history, countless creatures were once believed to be myths, yet later turned out to be real discoveries waiting to be found.